Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
Welcome to The Wedding Wear with Officiating by Amanda. On today's episode, The Wedding Wear, the date really mattered. Welcome back to The Wedding Wear. This is Amanda, and I'm excited to be back with you today as this is going out right around Valentine's Day to talk about the wedding wear the date really mattered. So today's episode is all about special dates that have specific meanings to couples. I'll share some of the funny little ha-has, can't believe you picked that date, nuances, as well as some couples that have been very, very specific on the dates that they wanted. There's some pros and cons to kind of picking which holiday or unique numerical dates that you might want and how they might reflect your wedding story for years to come. So starting off, we've got Valentine's Day, which is one of the most popular holidays for weddings and proposals, no matter the day of the week. There's a guy local to me who will rent out a ballroom every Valentine's Day and just do photography sessions in each of the little quadrants of the ballroom. And you can book him for an hour stint and he just makes it a whole love fest day, which is really awesome. But it is a very busy day. And if it is in the midst of the week, it is very hard to get more than a few people to attend. So really ideal for elopements and paperwork weddings, but not really ideal for, the whole kit and caboodle, a rehearsal, a dinner, a celebration afterwards. So really just something to keep in mind because some holidays do lend themselves more to the party aspect and having more people be able to attend. Valentine's Day is not one of them. And while your significant other might never run out of really cute things to buy you to celebrate a Valentine's Day anniversary, it's definitely something to think about and to talk about with your partner if that's something that you really, really want. So I'm going to start off, we started talking about holiday-based weddings, but actually I'm going to start a little bit more with like some meaningful wedding dates. What I mean by that is the date is your already established anniversary. Maybe it's when you started dating or when you met or your engagement anniversary, or maybe it's something within your family. It's the same wedding date as your parents. I'll laugh and share. We have many, many members of my family who got married on the 13th of the month that they picked, including my mother and her sister sharing the same month and day for their wedding. And when the next generation got engaged and we're all married in 2024, there was conversation on if we would also pick the 13th of any given month to get married to kind of keep that tradition going. Or maybe we would do the 26th because we were the next generation. It didn't really work for myself and my husband, but we ended up doing November 2nd. So when you take 11 plus 2, that's 13. So in a way, that's the meaningfulness that it means to me. Definitely, if there's a date that is already special to you and it works out, with the guests that you intend to have, book it. Book it as soon as you can think of, especially if it is towards the fall, in the fall region, the northeastern region of the United States. Book it as soon as you can because it is important and symbolic. If it happens to fall maybe like a middle of the week, a Wednesday on the year that you intend to get married, think about how you could do a little bit longer of celebrations. Nobody says that you only have to celebrate one day when you are married. And in fact, if you have a very strong love and relationship, you're celebrating your love and your marriage throughout the entire year and a whole bunch of different moments, even though they're not milestones. So There's nothing wrong if it fits for your intended ceremony, your guest count, your region of the country. Get married on a Wednesday. If that's your anniversary and that's a date that you want to keep as your anniversary, go with it. The other thing I'll say with that is the date that's on your marriage license, yes, is the day you got married, is formally, legally the day you got married. The day you celebrate, that is all you. That is all you. If your paperwork was reaching its expiration window, which every state is different for, but if it was reaching its expiration window and you've got to get married before it expires, but you want to actually celebrate your commitment 3 days later, nobody's going to go look it up. If you pull out cake and post on Facebook, oh, it's our anniversary. They'll just say happy anniversary. No one's going to the courthouse to be like, actually, you got married 3 days before that. That's not your anniversary. You'll have to remember it anytime you need to reference your legal paperwork, but it can be the day that you want it to be. And I have a couple of couples who have a hard time with that sometimes. They really do. So, moving away from dates that are meaningful and sentimental for you guys as a couple are dates that have fun numeric memorableness. So, 8/8/2008, 11/11/11, or the just in 23, the 12/31/23, because it was 1/2/3, 1/2/3. Those dates really do stand out in a way and make them really hard to forget. And there's something fun with it. I did have a couple who they had been together for a long while, and the groom had kind of noticed that 1/2/3, 1/2/3 was going to be a thing and said, gosh, wouldn't that be really wonderful? And the bride was like, yes, it would be. So I worked with them to be able to make sure that they were able to get married at 12:30. And actually they said I do at 12:34. So I always, those are just really cool things to have as part of your story, especially if you're doing a holiday-based wedding like the 31st is. So just think about some of those fun numerical dates and what connotations they might have with them. Like 8/8/8 is considered lucky. New Year's is definitely a renewal and new beginnings and a huge celebration, as we talked before, where Valentine's Day, if it falls during the week, might be a little hard to get people to go to. Everyone's expecting a big party at New Year's. So some of those are little trade-offs. I remember stories of people who were expecting babies with due dates of 6/6/06, and they did not like that. Think about that as well. Is there a certain way that it's not going to be a super fun or memorable numerical date? As you know, as you're thinking about dates that are potentially holidays, holidays are fun. A lot of times, if it is a federal holiday, everybody's got off. That's awesome. That's a pro. Guests can come. They can do longer weekends, Memorial Day, Labor Day, 4th of July, always big inquiries, instead of having a Saturday wedding, having a Sunday wedding because everyone's off on Monday. And in terms of what they're expecting a party. And you can also do a little bit more to, like, you think New Year's Eve, you think of a, classy, elegant cheers with the champagne at midnight. You think 4th of July, you think definitely of a barbecue. So more of a backyard wedding, or a little lighter in elegance can certainly be really wonderful and possible. Another pro is it is an easy date to remember. You'll never forget where you were. You'll never forget that it was a celebration and a half. But there are some cons to doing holiday weddings, some challenges. Vendors book up very quickly for popular dates. So if your intended date falls on a holiday day or weekend or reasonable window of time, Christmas season, please, it is essential to plan early. And remember that your vendors are people too. Like, as much as we like being busy and we love working with you and we like, the pay and the bonus, we have families, we have travels, we have, in my case, 3 different Christmases to do and 2 different Thanksgivings. It is limited of time, and there could be additional premium charges that come with that. So while you're getting to make sure that all of your guests are able to attend and you've got a 250-person wedding, your officiant might be driving across the state from one of their prior commitments to be at the wedding. And just a little bit of extra timing and grace goes a long, long way. For your guests, they might have off, but they might also have some long-standing traditions or travel plans that makes it a little harder for them to attend. Maybe they traditionally take Labor Day week and go to their boathouse, or they always are camping with their in-laws. So it's always worth to weigh in some of those factors when you're choosing a date. Sometimes just saying, oh, the holiday, that's really great. It doesn't always work out, especially if you are actually on the holiday day and you are looking to kind of ground source some of your items. What I mean by that is you're not with a venue that has those elements already included. So if you were doing a backyard wedding and you're like, oh, I need catering, the caterer might be closed on the actual holiday, which means no setup and delivery. You're going to have to pick up the day before. You'll keep it on ice. They'll come pick it up later. The more things that you kind of DIY or do as an a la carte option might not be available on the holiday day. Just something to always think about. We talked a little bit about superstitions, but something else to think about is what your date can invoke. If you pick a certain date, let's say we talk about the date I get asked about every year, which is 4/20. Every year, no matter what day of the week 4/20 falls on, I always have a couple who asks me if I'm available to officiate. And there's now a cultural connotation with weed and marijuana. So if that's the couple's vibe and what they like to do, that's great. But for others, they made a choice for that day. Additionally, there's Friday the 13th. There were quite a few Friday the 13th in 2024. So I believe I did 2 or 3 weddings on those days when they fell. People, consider Friday the 13th to be unlucky. But a lot of people choose kind of the taboo date to have it stand out and to show that they're a couple who doesn't follow the crowd. So when you're picking your wedding date, there's a ton of different options. And as I've learned from any of my couples where the date mattered, flexibility is going to need to be key when you're reaching out to your vendors. If it's a holiday, understanding scheduling and booking as early in advance. If you are booking a date that is really meaningful to you, please do not waver on that date. If it's the anniversary of something very special and important to you, don't waver. Other realms and dates, if you wanted to get married on Friday the 13th, but there's 6 months in a row where there's no Friday the 13th, okay. You could celebrate it on the 13th. You could always go big at your house and make every Friday the 13th an anniversary if that is something really special to you. So just thinking ahead, thinking about, plan early, be open to alternatives, communicate with your vendors, thinking about your guests, so that you can have the kind of party you want, because it's all going to be a balance, right? If you have a date that is really, everyone's off from work, it's beautiful, good weather, everyone could travel. Yeah, potentially everybody of the guests is there with you. But that also means that there are more likelihoods that your vendors or your venues are already booked. People have already started thinking 2 to 3 years in advance for some of these high demand dates. Really work to make sure that the dates that you love and that are important to you are incorporated, even if it isn't your dream wedding date. It could be when you do an engagement party or when you have your honeymoon, or hey, flat out just when you celebrate your date. If you know that you're going to be getting married around a holiday, definitely ask your vendors about holiday related fees, or be understanding if you see a quote with a holiday related fee. Do not be surprised, especially between Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's. Anything in that block of time is normally a very family focused and jam packed area. There are a lot of vendors who actually take that entire month and a half off to really focus in on their family, wrapping up what they've been working on for the year and positioning themselves for the next year. So kind of taking them out of that element could have additional fees and charges. And certainly think about your guests. Save the dates as early as possible. As an officiant, when I do holiday weddings that, we're going to have a big guest count. It's going to be 100 and 150, 300. I prepare myself of, okay, I'm going to need to be the persona to fit the masses. By and large, though, the holiday weddings I've done that have anticipated high guest counts have an awful lot of empty seats when I actually look out with them. And there's a lot of reasons why that could be, but I can think of a lot more dates that weren't done on holidays where there's been more fill. So just always something to think about. I think having a wedding on a holiday does actually give people another oh, I forgot I have, and maybe another area where they might back out with you. So I know this might not have been the, kind of episode you were thinking of where there'd be a salacious tidbit or story to share. But as we've got Valentine's Day right in, I kind of combined a couple weddings all in together. The weddings that are 420, the weddings that have been New Year's Day, New Year's Eve, Labor Day, Memorial Day, and Valentine's Day, smack dab in the middle of the week. So don't worry, next week we'll be back with even more fun, exciting, and a really great wedding wear. Thank you for listening to The Wedding Wear with Officiating by Amanda. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and found some inspiration or insight for your own special day. This podcast is hosted on Buzzsprout and can be found on all major platforms. If you haven't already, please subscribe, like, comment, and share to help us reach even more listeners who might laugh a little at The Wedding Wear. For the links referenced in the show, visit Linktree at Officiating by Amanda. You can also follow the business on Facebook, Wedding Wire, and The Knot to stay up to date on everything going on. If you have a question you'd like me to answer on the podcast, just send an email to theweddingwearpodcast@gmail.com. And if you're ready to inquire about officiating services for your own big day, you can reach me at officiatingbyamanda@gmail.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, this has been Amanda.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.